Ladies and gentlemen of the congregation, welcome to another episode of the Motorsport Ministry. It's been a while since I've done one of these episodes I believe I did it before the Formula One season ended, which I know I should have done a couple episodes before then, but I was just burnt out at that point. I'm like, you know what? Verstappen already won. Everything's already set in stone. Let me just, call it for the year and then we'll move on next year. But this year, I decided to do something a little bit different. I decided that, you know what? It's the festival season. You guys see the background behind me. Have a little Christmas episode, catch up what we've been doing on the off season and have about, I like to call it as laid back of an episode as we can get. And so joining me for this pretty much laid back episode, we got basically the other three musketeers. We got Vanillawafers, aka Tyler. We got Johnny from Johnny on the Track, and we got Will from NASCAR Opinion. So how you guys been doing?
I'm on my third bourbon at this point. But great. Thanks for asking.
Doing good. I mean, I've been doing fine. I mean, it's Christmas time. Dirt racing's finally done. Thank goodness. That's been going on since mid-February. So, hey, we're doing pretty good. Armani, though, I've got a question.
Yes, what do you want to say, William?
I just want to say, as a Colts fan that you are, I know your off season is going fantastic.
Absolutely.
I like where this is going.
Considering the Colts just blew the largest lead.
I'm doing this.
33 points, Armani.
I will say I think the Colts win this week with Foles.
No.
Yes.
I did. Me and Armani have been doing just pick'ems for the hell of it every week.
Johnny, give me 33 reasons why you think they're going to win.
God, I could see it
happening. I hope
33.
You get destroyed in the finals.
I have one. Here's my first reason why they're going to win. Because Peyton Manning is not their quarterback. There's reason one.
Oh, God.
Reason two would be Matt Ryan is also not their quarterback.
Okay, that's a real
Everybody's
reason.
crapping on Matt Ryan. It's not all Matt Ryan.
Yeah, it is. He sucks.
Okay. Yeah, so that's why he threw for 4,000 yards every year for the Falcons, and he goes to Indianapolis, and all of a sudden he's nothing.
How many playoff games did he win?
He actually won a lot more playoff games than the Colts have in recent memory. I mean,
Well,
they played a Super Bowl.
That's true.
That's true.
Hey, one of the
Ryan
Cowboys and the Panthers.
Yeah, well, you're right about that. We haven't made the playoffs since 16 or 17.
We sometimes make the playoffs, but unfortunately, we like to lose the first game. So it's all
Cowboys are 100% losing in the first round.
Oh, hell yeah.
And they're a good football team. I think me and Armani both picked them to win this week.
Yep, we did.
I'll drink to that.
Hey, yeah, Armani, don't you have a shot waiting?
You know what? That's right. In honor of the festival season, we got some Fireball here. My background doesn't let me show it as well, but we got some Fireball. And speaking of the background, if you guys haven't noticed, this is going to be the first video upload of the Motorsport Ministry.
Nice.
All my episodes, all my 100+ episodes have been on Spotify or other, podcasting platforms. But this is the first video that will be uploaded on YouTube, and I believe Spotify too, because I believe Spotify does do videos. So, in honor of the first video episode of the Motorsport Ministry,
cheers.
Fellas, cheers.
I'll do it virtual. I do drink for those people that are wondering. I'm just feeling a little under the weather.
No, his
Alcohol will kill
parents.
the germs. Come on.
No, his parents caught him one time having a Bud Light, so he got grounded. So yeah.
I was wondering why you said at the beginning, turn on the video and you can see you said you can see my video. And I was gonna say, since when can anybody ever see your video? I've never seen it.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah, and that's changing.
It's about time. I mean, YouTube's only been popping for hell a decade.
It's
about
I might as
time.
well make use of it. But yeah, so today's episode, it's basically going to be laid back. We're just going to talk about what we did what we've been doing during the off season, some noticeable changes, what we expect going on for next year, and just simple things of that nature. We're going to have a laid back conversation. Probably going to make fun of each other a lot of times. We'll roast Johnny, hoping that Tyler gets eliminated in the finals and all that. So we'll begin with the starter. So we'll start off with Tyler. What have you been doing during the off season?
Well, to be honest with you, I have been opening up cards for NASCAR to try to find a Mario Andretti signature card. that success has been lackluster at best.
More like
I
zero.
Yeah, zero, absolutely. So I've been losing my mind slowly but surely as those videos progress. However, I have been putting on some better NASCAR videos on YouTube, so that's been a lot of fun. But for the most part, just enjoying the holidays, just staying inside and just enjoying life.
How do you where are you opening? Are you doing it on TikTok, the opening?
Oh yeah, TikTok. If I did that on YouTube, they'd eat me alive over there.
And what like packs are you opening? Like old packs?
So
27, what is it called? Like 2017, whatever.
yeah, so it's 2017 Donruss Racing packs. They're not really
Okay,
that
yeah.
expensive. And I saw that they sold or not sold, but they had some Mario Andretti cards in there. And I was like, hell yeah, I've always wanted a Mario Andretti signature card. How hard can it be? I've already made about like 50 episodes, and it's been pretty tough to say the least. I got another case of cards coming in, so hopefully it's in there. But
I got 2022 Prism Racings coming in for Christmas. I'm pretty amped. I love the Prisms are my favorite.
The Prisms, they've been making some really good cards over there.
Yeah.
You just rip them open. It's like the ones that are worth like max 2 cents. They just glisten in the light, and it's like hell yeah. So being able to collect those is always a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, you're not missing too much. I mean, it's Mario Andretti, overrated, right?
Yeah,
Shut up.
Totally overrated. Which, according to Tyler, apparently I can get anything from Mario Andretti on his website signed, like 3 months. So I might send this Funko of his that I found, ironically, at a box lunch of all places. Actually, funny story. I've been trying to find that Mario Andretti Funko that's shown. No, unlike Tyler, I actually have success at it. And it just happened at the most random time. So I'm in my local mall. I'm like, I wasn't even looking for it. I'm like, I'll go into the box lunch. I always go in there. And then I'm looking through the Funkos. And then I turn around and I'm like, wait a minute. That Funko looks familiar. Then I saw the Mario Andretti Funko and I'm like, you are mine now. You are mine now.
Why is there a Mario Andretti card in the 2017? Like he didn't run a race in 2017, did he?
I think they were doing like a call to the hall, and they wanted to bring back some like stars of motorsports, because they also got Don Garlits in there. And I mean, he wasn't even in the Hall of Fame announcement for NASCAR or anything like that. So they just brought a few people into it and to sign some cards. And just so happened that Mario Andretti was one of them. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to try to get one of those.
Question. Do y'all think Mario Andretti should be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
No.
Of course.
I think so.
No.
I think so.
I agree with
no
Will.
business being in the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
I agree with Will.
One race.
Don't get me wrong. I love Mario. I think he's the best race car driver of all time. He's better than AJ Foyt. He's better than Dan Gurney. But one career cup win and like 12 starts.
Daytona 500.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Hold on. So Derek Cope should be in the Hall of Fame.
No.
I think Trevor Bayne should be
Mario
in the Hall of Fame.
Andretti is arguably the greatest driver. Like any racing Hall of Fame, yes. Any racing, like just broad stroke racing, yes. The NASCAR Hall of Fame, you're going to put Mario Andretti in just because he won the Daytona 500, then Trevor Bayne's got to go in, Derek Cope's got to go in.
You're acting like this is a problem. I'm fully on board with this.
Oh, John, listen, we get in the habit of arguing with Johnny about things Johnny agrees with, but he just
I agree with Tyler. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
He shouldn't. What has he done besides win the 500?
I mean, he's like, I don't know. I mean,
NASCAR.
That's a pretty big deal when he like only, raced like however many 12 races you said.
If he gets in the Hall of Fame before Mike Joy, I will riot.
Well, Mike Joy is still not racing. Announcing.
Yeah, hell, when's he racing? Hell, he's my pick to win the 500.
He's racing a 5K.
Mike Joy with 500 people.
Oh man.
Anyways, Will, what have you been doing this offseason?
Had still a handful of dirt races after the Cup season ended. I think I still had 2 or 3 weekends at the dirt track. That is finished. Now it's full Christmas. I got the rest. I've had most of this week off, just chilling out, waiting for Christmas this weekend, arguing with Johnny on Twitter, and watching the Panthers still have no clue if they're going to make the playoffs or not. So we'll see.
The fact that they're still in the talk to make it into the playoffs just baffles me.
The fact that it's still very, very realistic is the
They're only
problem.
one game behind.
If we win and Tampa loses this weekend, we're tied. Actually, I think we have the lead because we have the tiebreaker. Here's what you got to watch. Next week, Carolina goes to Tampa. That is going to be the game that determines things for the most part.
I don't think so.
I mean, it's pretty much going. I think I picked Tampa to win this week, though. And knowing I picked us to win, I will not.
Who does Tampa play this week?
The Lions will most likely beat
They
the
play the
Panthers.
Cardinals.
Yeah, I think
Yep, I
Tampa
picked
should
the
beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, I picked the
But
Bucks too.
the thing is, I mean, could we beat Detroit? Maybe, but Detroit's playing really good football right now. So I picked the Panthers to win just because me and Armany had a difference. But I would not be surprised if the Lions walk into Charlotte and easily get a victory this weekend. But so apparently they have like the 30th ranked pass defense, but the Panthers also don't like passing the ball. So we'll see.
Johnny, what about you? What have you been doing besides giving out terrible takes?
I haven't really gave out a take in a while.
No takes, but the Patriots sure aren't doing what you thought they would.
No,
I'm
not
gonna
at
sit
all.
this one out.
Well, that's because we have a terrible coach. I've always thought the coach sucks.
The
But then we have
coach
a
is the
bad-
only reason that you're never gonna have a top 5 draft pick.
Okay,
That's
well, get
very
rid of
true.
him.
Bill Belichick is still the reason you win 6, 7, 8 games, period.
I think if we start Zappy, we'll run the table, finish 10-7.
Oh God, here we go. Oh God.
But anywho, what I've been doing is doing some videos. I also just locked in travel and tickets and all that stuff for the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
hell yeah.
This your first one?
First one.
Nice.
Can't wait.
You're gonna
Shout
love
out
it.
Will for helping me find good tickets and in the right spot. I got tickets just like at the exit of pit road. So like a little before that. So we have a good view of the start finish line, pretty high up to see it all. So they were freaking expensive.
Armani's trying to go. He's trying to get me and him tickets, but I
Trying
don't
to
think
you
get
guys
me
go,
some-
let me
so
know.
So what I'm trying to do is this. So
They're like
my
$250.
So my birthday is next month. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get my mom to buy me 2 tickets. I'm trying to give Will the other ticket.
Your mom would have to spend like $500.
his mom's done worse.
Yeah,
All right.
she has.
Well then. But yeah, so I've been doing that, which is I'm excited. And yeah, just trying to make some content. It's tough right now when in the off season where you're trying to find things to talk about. Did one video, did pretty well. It's almost at 500 views. But then the other ones I've done, like Will said, haven't even hit 60 views. So if you guys have some good ideas, I'm looking for stuff to post. But
Here's what you
We'll
need to
see.
do. You need to do what Tyler's doing. Make videos where you're gonna suffer and people will just eat it up.
Yeah.
Tyler does have some. How long does it take you to make one of those
Hey,
videos?
I know it's a
what-
perfect idea.
What video? The TikTok ones or the YouTube ones?
No, the YouTube ones.
Oh, so the YouTube ones that I make, those take me a good while. It's all the editing, and
Yeah, like a week, right? At least.
about a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spending probably total hours of recording and editing. I'd say about 14 to 18 hours. But it's a program I'm not familiar with, so take that with a grain of salt. I bet you people can do it way quicker, but the TikTok videos, those take me about like 5 minutes to make. Like, it's
sure.
not that hard at all to make those.
Johnny, I've got your content ideas.
All right, let
Oh
me hear.
boy,
it.
here we
go.
go.
So it is like a trend that Patriots fans, for the first time ever, don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback, so they're losing their mind. So every week you should do an overreaction to the Patriots and like paint this picture that you're like this spoiled ass Patriots fan and just whine and like
Paint
like
a
go
picture.
buy like one of those cheap fake jerseys and burn it like you're losing your mind.
I do have a Mac
Basically-
Jones jersey. That's
Oh,
gonna
God.
get burned soon.
Basically, all you need to do is just put the video on yourself while you're watching a Patriots game, and you got gold right there, just right
Actually,
there.
could be an idea.
There you go. See, Johnny, there we go. We just made an idea for you. We want.
I'd
we
be
want
afraid of
revenue
what
from
I'd
your-
say on
we
the
want
cam.
revenue from your videos.
I wouldn't want to get canceled.
Well,
Get canceled. Like that Chiefs fan that robbed the bank barely got canceled.
I can't stand, oh, dude, the Chiefs are like the new Patriots fans. Like, if you tell me you're a Chiefs fan, I'm like, bro, we live in South Carolina.
All right, well, time out.
You've never even been to Kansas City.
Patriots fans were never that bad.
Bull crap.
Dude, have you met Cowboys fans?
The thing they try to bring up is the 17 million championships that half of them weren't even alive to see.
Gotta add some bourbon after that statement.
I've seen them all.
You know what? I'm joining you on that, Tyler.
But I will say this. We did bash Armany. And listen, guys, you would be proud of me because I'm talking about we've gone as far as so Fireball is 33% alcohol. Like I made this man read the label.
We're not doing this.
I said y'all would be proud of me because every time I see a 33, I send it to Armany. Johnny, I need to know what the hell was the finish to the Patriots game this past week?
Bad coaching.
Okay.
Bad coaching.
I'm sure that's how Belichick drew it up.
No, I'm saying, why are you running a draw play?
Well, I mean, I'll agree. They should have just thrown it to the end zone.
Right, exactly. So that's bad coaching.
Yeah, but then when you have a player decide to just – I'm going to say this. I don't believe the NFL is rigged, but if it is rigged, that was a rigged finish to that game.
I mean, if you think about it, and this is coming from a guy that wins a lot of bets, me, that is.
Oh my
No,
God! Yeah, when
God,
you bet on, I bet you in football.
That was
I bet
in
you
Vegas.
On football, I bet you on football. You bet on both teams.
No, I don't do much football betting, to be honest with you. I'm not that good at it. I'm in a pick 'em spread league, and it's just freaking ridiculously hard for shit like that.
Well, we all need next year. We all need to be in a pick 'em league.
It's hard, dude. It's like the hardest thing.
Last week, Will beat me by one game, and this week we have 3
me
games
and Armany
different.
just do straight up picks. We don't do any kind of spread.
All right, well that's easier. That would I would be pretty good at.
I do spreads on the internship podcast that I do, but as for me and Will,
so
we
get
just do
this.
game.
So me and Susie's family, like we've always just done this. There's no reward. There's no real. We don't even keep track of it really. But every week we pick games. I have not won a week all season long.
Like, I did win one. I won one this season.
Like Susie's sister, who doesn't even watch football, has won like 3 times this year. I have not won one time. This past week, I had my best week. I think I went, I don't know how many games. I think I only picked like 4 wrong. No, didn't even have a shot to win it.
Yeah, I won 1 week. And the nice thing about the one I'm in is if you just have to win 1 week and you win your money back.
Yep.
So
don't worry, Tyler. I called the Jags winning.
Oh, thank God.
Did.
Yeah,
he did.
I would have made that call too. If anyone's going to lose to a dog crap team, it's going to be the
Jags.
Cowboys.
Whoa. The Jags are not bad.
They almost lost to the Texans. That just tells you how bad.
So did you guys.
They did.
Hey, the Jaguars.
No, I'm talking about the Cowboys.
The Jaguars are about to be a playoff team.
No, they are.
Trevor Lawrence is a stud.
All right, so at the beginning of this year, people thought I was crazy. I said that I think the Jags are going to be the Bengals of last year. So the Jags.
I won't go that far.
That's what I thought early on. It doesn't look
good.
like that, but they're going to get
People have debated me because I grew up in South Carolina, so Clemson is. I mean, I hate Clemson. I've hated Clemson forever, but you hear stuff Clemson. Trevor Lawrence was the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck.
Oh,
he
yeah.
is just that guy, and we are finally seeing it. He has led the league in everything like the last 6 weeks. I just don't know. I don't think they have the experience and the people around them.
If they had Calvin Ridley.
To run the Bengals did. Like even the Bengals, at least they have like a Jamar Chase that can just make an explosive play, or they have Joe Mixon who can just run the ball and get, having a breakout game. And I just also don't know like if Trevor's Burrow, but God, talk about a guy that's amazing as Joe Burrow. But anyways.
Yeah, I think if they had a health, well, Calvin Ridley is healthy. He's just suspended. But I think if they had them, they would have like at least 2 more wins. Yeah,
they just don't have an explosive piece.
I will say this though: Tennessee and Houston play. I'm making the bold prediction that Houston wins the game. Houston, listen, they went toe-to-toe with the Eagles. They went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. They went toe-to-toe with the Cowboys. Tennessee's falling off a cliff. I think Houston can get it done. They can afford to lose the game.
How many pick'ems have you won this year?
Wait, what did he say?
I say Houston beats Tennessee.
I don't think that's a bad pick. I
Oh.
just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Houston's going to play that good 3 weeks in a row. And Houston is 100%. And like, I think they've even got the number 1 pick locked up already, but they're in like full tank mode. They're just getting close enough to make the game interesting. And then just like, nah, we're good.
Armani, how many pick'ems have you won this year?
I don't know. The only pickers we do is with me and Will, and we have like 4 or 5.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure your answer's like 1 or 2 max.
Yeah, I beat him. I
So
think
with that answer, I'll just drink to what you just said.
Why?
for the Houston
Tennessee's
Texans.
lost 4 straight.
Tennessee is not good right now. They're the reason the Jags are in the opening right now because the Jags are winning and the Titans have just declined.
I don't
Well-
know. I just don't see it at all.
Anyways, Armani, it is a motorsports podcast.
Yeah, we've been talking about football on the Motorsport Ministry. Anyway, so let's get on to motorsports. We had a lot of things going on in the off season. Obviously, most of the people here follow NASCAR, so this is going to be primarily NASCAR. But we'll try to cover little bits and bits here and there throughout the other motorsports landscape. But we'll talk about mostly NASCAR. And the first thing I want to talk about is
Why is Ryan Priest going to make the playoffs?
Oh,
Good question, Armani.
Here we go.
No, I'm kidding. That's good.
Anyway, so let's talk about the biggest news of the offseason. Well, at least recently. What do we think Haley Deegan is going to do at ThorSport? I know me and Will talked about it on the phone.
What is this?
What do you mean, what is this?
What is
The
this?
most-
Yeah.
the most
News of the
pop-
offseason?
listen, no, listen.
No, recently.
What is that?
Recently, the
Yeah,
most
recently.
popular driver in NASCAR
Will, what is
right
it? What
now,
are we talking about here?
Listen, man, it wasn't my topic idea.
and
Oh my
listen, the
gosh.
most popular driver in NASCAR, arguably, you can make a strong case she's more popular than Chase Elliott.
No, okay. Now we're losing people. Your
Why not?
viewership
Look
has
at-
dropped
Look at the social media
33%.
following. She has more social media followers than NASCAR themselves.
I mean, he makes that from a technical standpoint. I get what he is trying to say.
Okay,
Dude,
okay, fair enough.
There
fair
are
enough.
so many bigger stories than
But
that.
do you want me to here? Then we'll make this one quick.
Does
You know
she
what she's
have a
gonna do?
top 10?
Listen, hold on. I'm gonna make this easy. Armani, you know what she's gonna do?
What? Nothing.
Nothing. All right, because that's what she's done everywhere she's been.
You know what?
She's gonna-
I'll drink to that.
And listen, I want Deegan to work because I feel like she has a great following behind her. Like the sport needs Haley Deegan to be good. It just ain't happening. It's been 2-3 years now. It just ain't happening. She hasn't even been close. It's not like she's running up front and gets wrecked. It's like she's running 20th. And that's a good day.
I think Xfinity would have suited her a little bit better. I just think she
Yeah.
doesn't have it in the trucks. She was good in ARCA. Trucks are a different beast. There's reasons like, guys stay in the trucks for so many years, right? I kind of agree with Will. I'm rooting for her. I have nothing against her at all. I'm rooting for her. She's good for the sport. Like Will said, she's got a good following. I think she can bring a lot of sponsors into NASCAR that probably wouldn't really touch the sport. But I mean, come on, like we saw her season last year. It was not pretty. And Ryan Priest gets in the same, and I don't mean to bring Ryan Priest up again, but I mean, he was on the same team, basically running the same truck, same equipment, and he was running top 5 every time. And Taylor Gray too, right? Taylor Gray ran races and ran top 10s.
Yeah, had some good runs.
So I mean, I don't see this as big as a story as a.
Well, I got a bigger story then, Mister. Since I don't know what Armani is pulling out as the biggest. Story.
What is your bigger story, Mr. Intern Producer of the Motorsport Ministry?
Okay. I don't know. How about the idea that they said that NASCAR teams are thinking about doing their own races?
Well, guess what? That's what I was going to bring up next.
That's pretty massive.
That's what I was going to bring up. We're trying to ease our way into the topics. All right.
Oh God. So what do you guys think? For one, I will say I don't think it ever happens. I think this is just a kind of a bargaining chip deal, and like NASCAR saying, "Hey, we're willing to go do something." Why? Or teams are willing to say, it's not NASCAR. Teams are willing to say, "Listen, if you don't start giving us the cut that we deserve, we're going to start looking into doing other stuff." And people can sit there and talk logistic. Oh, they can't pull this off. You think not every single one of those teams can go build a lake model that is a tenth of the price of these cup cars? Then pipe down.
I think I can totally see some expedition races totally happening here for these teams because that's been the biggest complaint right now has been the lack of finance that they've been getting off of these TV right deals. Why not put on your own little program here from time to time? It doesn't have to be a full season. It doesn't have to be like 12 races.
No.
You just put on like 1 or 2 races. You're going to be able to bring a lot of fans in. You're going to bring a lot of entertainment in. I really don't see this being a too far stretch of an idea. We saw with the Prelude to the Dream back in the late 2000s when they did that little charity event when they all ran a bunch of late models. That was freaking awesome. I really enjoyed that. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was a lot of fun. They bring something even close to that. I think it's going to attract a lot of fans. It's going to attract a lot of funding for some of those teams. Maybe not the same as like NASCAR, but I think it still will be really good for those teams as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it happens personally, mostly just because these teams complain about they're having to cut costs. They're spending way too much money. Why are you going to continue that with this series? You know, regardless if it's 1 to 2 races. I mean, it's gotten to the point where we have spec pick guns. If it's gotten to that point in terms of like micromanaging how much the teams are spending, do you really think they want to spend money on building late models and, you know, trying to, you know, put up the logistics of how much it would cost to even, you know, run one of these events? So
Well,
I
I think part of it though is not even necessarily like, I think it's going to be more of now. I'm taking this from this is a something they're dangling in front of NASCAR is sort of like a threat. Now, there's some people that look at this as like they may do this anyways, like this would just be a fun venture anyways. But I look at it as more of like a threat. Like, all right, if you don't want to do this, we're going to show you we can do this. And at that point, I don't think they really care about a late model because they're just trying to prove a bigger point, which is without us, you can't have this multi-billion-dollar industry.
I could see that. But then again, I mean, as NASCAR, are we going to, I guess another question is, number one, I mean, some of us already answered, do we think it's going to happen? And or number two, let me say this. Will this have the effect that the teams really want? We know the teams want a bigger piece of the pot, but is it really going to have that, you know, effect? Or is NASCAR just kind of put their foot on the ground and say like, hey, do what you want to do. We have our deal. You take it or leave it.
I think that at this point, the teams need NASCAR more than NASCAR needs the teams, unfortunately.
I don't see that.
I mean, what, like 3 teams?
Racing's not a money winning venture anyways. They lose money every year. These dudes are just all millionaires and billionaires who want to piss money away to have race cars.
Well, to your point, I will, you know, like some of those smaller teams, right? When you venture and do your own thing, you usually are making money rather than losing money. You know what I mean? So that is, I guess, appetizing for lack of a better term. But I don't know. I mean, you look at like Aspire Motorsports and like Rick Ware and I don't know, some of these smaller organizations, like maybe not Petty GMS, but I don't know, like some of those small, they need NASCAR. I mean, what would they be without NASCAR? You know what I mean? So I don't know.
What would NASCAR be without them?
They would get another team in.
How?
Maybe.
If it's not financially stable. Well, that's all we've
I mean,
heard.
in theory, if those teams left, NASCAR would have to change the dynamic model to where it would be cheaper for other teams to come in. The point is they need that to happen anyways, but they need this. They need to keep the same. I mean, you don't want guys like Roger Penske and Rick Hendrick leaving the sport. You can't really afford for that to happen. Now, there's days before where none of those teams existed. There'll be days after down the road where those teams may not exist. The NASCAR will still keep on going. But I do think there is a point to, like, you know, part of what drives the sport in racing is who the drivers are. There's a reason IndyCar doesn't necessarily sell out at Texas. Well, NASCAR doesn't sell out at Texas either, so I guess that's a bad point. But NASCAR still brings a bigger crowd than IndyCar simply because of the names. It's still racing.
Yeah, I've always thought that most of the time the reason why NASCAR gets so much viewership compared to other types of racing is because of the personalities that are behind the wheel. I mean, look at past NASCAR. What do you remember? Do you remember, oh, I can't believe how great the Ford Tauruses were back in 2003? It was absolutely crazy. No, we think of the drivers. You think of Dale Earnhardt. You think of Bobby Allison. You think of those names and those personalities that were brought into the sport. So if you lose those names in the sport, if they're off doing other things, eventually it's going to really affect NASCAR. And unfortunately for NASCAR, they're just so affiliated with those teams. If those teams are upset and they try to go somewhere else, you're going to get a good chunk going somewhere else as well.
I just thought of this just now. I really do believe that Chip Ganassi leaving NASCAR kind of gave the teams an advantage. Now, don't get me wrong. Ganassi, they weren't the most successful team in NASCAR. I don't even think they had 20 wins in the sport entirely. However, they're arguably, in terms of motorsport as a whole, one of the most respected names in sport, in racing. So to have a team like that basically say, oh yeah, we'll leave, that's fine. You know, obviously Justin Marks probably gave him like a fat check, but to have a team like that basically say, okay, yeah, we'll leave the sport, you know, that's fine, we'll just go do our own thing. That in a way I feel like maybe gave the teams, you know, kind of like, oh, maybe, now don't get me wrong, Trackhouse benefited in the long run, but I mean, Ganassi's still as good as ever. So I feel like that might have given them a little bit of a leverage, if you would.
I think, well, I was just going to say, I think a big, what am I trying, trial, I guess, or test, or some, I don't know, whatever words you want to use for this, but I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see if SRX this season can make a jump with ESPN putting a good amount of funding behind it and helping this thing grow. Because then I think, you know, NASCAR can say, wow, all right, well, some of these smaller series, some of these like, you know, operations where a bunch of people just put money together in race. And, you know, if you get one organization behind it, like ESPN, like if that takes off, I think that's a problem for NASCAR, because then you can look and say, well, all right, like there is an alternative where we can be financially stable, we can make money, we can get views, we can, you know, sell out stands and whatnot. And I know, like, obviously these are much smaller racetracks and facilities, but that's a big deal. That's a big deal that I know, you know, people talked about it and whatnot, but ESPN getting behind SRX to bring back Thursday Night Thunder with personalities like they have, like Tyler mentioned, like you follow for the drivers, that's a big deal. And I think, you know, imagine if you got SRX running during the NASCAR season, you got now NASCAR, and then in the off season, some of these teams are doing their own thing. Like, that's going to make it a little, that I think could make it a little challenging and interesting for NASCAR. Like, okay, well, it seems like other people can do this and, I don't know, operate at some sort of a high level. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Well, let me ask you.
I'll say this. Being a dirt fan, there's plenty of racing to go around, and a lot of people will still watch whatever racing they want to watch. At the end of the day, if NASCAR just puts out a better product, it really doesn't matter what happens. But, you know, I think the thing is at the end of the day, it's going to all fix itself out anyways. I mean, NASCAR is going to eventually make the changes they need to make. The teams, what's really making this a big deal is it's the new owners. You don't hear the complaints from Roger Penske and Rick Hendrick and Jack Roush. It's guys like Brad Keselowski who's wanting a bigger cut, Denny Hamlin who's wanting a bigger cut, Jeff Gordon at Hendrick Motorsports is understanding the climate at this point. Justin Marks wants to be bigger than just NASCAR. Like, they're starting to really try to make this a business because that's what you have to do. And I think they're starting to figure that out. And that is going to be what eventually makes NASCAR have to get off the couch and realize we can't run the same structure we've been doing for 75 years.
Well, to an extent, I mean, do they? Like, you know, it used to be drivers got a bigger cut and they don't anymore. So I think NASCAR made it better for themselves. But like you said, like now kind of the owners are onto them, especially these young owners, right? Like, you know, it's one thing for Roger Penske to, you know, not get as much money as he did, 8-9 years ago, because it doesn't matter to him. But, when that fluctuates and goes down to, say, a Joey Logano or Ryan Blaney, when, you really can't compare the salaries, unfortunately. So I do think they've made change, but it hasn't been for the drivers, and which we know, but, I'm just saying it hasn't been for their benefit. That's for sure.
Well, the owners are who pay the drivers at the end of the day. It's not NASCAR, but the owners aren't making money. How do you expect the drivers to make the money?
Yeah. I mean, again, it'll come down to that next TV deal.
I got two questions for you guys. Number one, do you think that if the teams really want to, they would actually join SRX? And number two, what do you think the new TV deal looks like? I guess in the sense of number one, who the TV companies will be. Number two, what the split would look like.
That's two tough questions. I'm going to go with the second question first. I think ESPN is testing their dipping their toe in the waters to see if, so SRX, I think, like, their first race ever, I think they did close to 2 million viewers, which is like, that was an insane number. And then it went down and they were averaging about like 1 million for the first year. And then I don't think they hit a million once last year. And that was on CBS. Now ESPN's going to get it. They're branding it back to something that was absolutely huge on ESPN. Thursday Night Thunder was, I mean, that's where you saw like Jeff Gordon. That's where he started, Thursday Night Thunder. So they're bringing that back. And I think ESPN is dipping their toe in the water to say, ESPN doesn't have much in the summer at all. They have baseball and I don't know, the UFC, right? When like the UFC's on. But other than that, like they don't have that summer catch. And I think I would not be surprised. I know people are saying, oh, Fox is going to get it. It seems like NBC probably is going to lose their cut. But what if ESPN put a really good bid in? They grabbed a Dale Jr. They grabbed, I don't know, somebody else from Fox. And because I think ESPN can do more with this sort of like with NASCAR than I think Fox can do. And the reason I think that is because Fox has the NFL. They don't need NASCAR. They could just put that money into getting like more stuff for the NFL. But ESPN, they kind of need something. They kind of need that spark, and maybe it is NASCAR. So I would not be surprised if ESPN has a really successful debut season with SRX, and then you're looking a year down the line. I think the chatter is going to start to heat up that they're going to try to get this TV deal. Who knows? Especially, I mean, think of like with the new owners, like Michael Jordan, they could do a lot with Michael Jordan and like marketing that. I would just keep an eye out on that. I think a lot of people are counting out ESPN, even when they got SRX. They're like, oh, I hear Fox seems like they're going to get it. I don't know about that. I'm not sold on that at all.
I'll say this. Johnny has definitely sold me. Like, I could see ESPN coming in. I think Sports Business Journal predicts it's going to be pretty much the same two partners. I think they think NBC is going to make a bigger push than Fox.
I saw the opposite. I feel like that it was the other way around, that it was going to be like Fox makes the bigger push.
Maybe you pretty much heard both in the last week, because there was one report that was like, Fox has pretty much said they really need something outside of football. And when football starts in February, it's the perfect timing for when NASCAR kicks off. The problem I have, though, is like, obviously we don't see the financials of if NASCAR's TV coverage makes money or not, you would assume. But I mean, because they still average 2-something million a week. But at the same time, it's like we really need a company that's going to really put in the effort. Like Fox Sports has all the opportunities to pump NASCAR, and they don't. You don't see NASCAR talked about on stuff like Undisputed or The Herd with Colin Cowherd. I get that they do more stick and ball sports, but that's the kind of coverage they need. You get NASCAR a 15-minute segment on The Herd with Colin Cowherd. He may not even know what he's talking about, but you get a NASCAR guest on that show. Someone's going to watch the race this weekend because they talked about it. They don't do that. ESPN has the capability, because let's be honest, ESPN is not the giant that it used to be. It still is, but Fox is taking a chunk out of that. NBC's taking a chunk out of that. I think NBC does a solid job, but ESPN gives more of an avenue to really try to just, they're talking about it on SportsCenter. You got you got top 10 highlights potentially that can come out of a NASCAR race. You get all these different talking heads, and ESPN really does need something. They do need something to stand out. My biggest nervousness is just like, I think one of the last fan bases that needs to be split to a streaming service is the NASCAR fan base, because unfortunately, a large part of the fan base still is an older demographic. And the last thing is you want 3 or 4 different platforms holding races, like between Peacock, or if there's an ESPN Plus that you have to watch a race, like it doesn't matter who the company is. Now, in terms of them joining an SRX, I don't think they're ever going to do. I mean, they could, I guess they could. I just don't think that ever happens. I think SRX is going to exist on its own. I don't think it's really going to bother NASCAR. And now, if you were to see somebody like Chase Elliott comes out and says, I'm jumping out of the 9 car and I'm not coming back, and I'm going to go race here, then you have like a problem with that. But I just don't think that happens. But who knows? I do think it's the only thing about the ESPN SRX deal is I just don't know if the timing is going to work out, because the TV deal is going to need to be done like this year. Like it's going to have to happen. They're a year and a half away from having to announce it. And so I do agree this could be the perfect time for them to dip their toe in the pool. But is it going to be too late? Like SRX doesn't start till like the summer.
I will add one more quick thing, and I'll let whoever wants to jump in. I think we saw, and this is building off Will's point, like Fox doesn't do enough. They don't, right? They could do plenty of on Undisputed talking about NASCAR, like you said, the herd. But I will say there is something to be said about what you just saw with the World Cup, where, it's not the watching soccer here. It's not really that popular, but Fox just blew numbers out of the water for the World Cup. So look, if you have a good product that, people want to see and just test out watching and say, wow, that was an entertaining game. I think that can go a long way. And again, that's all from like Undisputed and Colin Cowherd talking about the World Cup. Plenty of different things on Fox. You see promos on the NFL casts, right? So I don't know. I think like it can be done. You just have to put the work in. And again, going back to that point of like, hey, ESPN's going to have nothing. They don't have anything in the summer. So if they were to put the work in, I think they could easily get the results. It's just, do you want to see Stephen A talking about NASCAR? Well, maybe. Who knows? I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's really all it will take. And case in point is the World Cup.
I'll throw my 2 cents in. This will unfortunately be I'll have to leave right on after this. But yeah, I feel like when it comes with the SRX talks going on, I don't know if you guys looked at the schedule, but they're doing the schedule purposely around the same tracks that are fairly close to other NASCAR events that are going to be going on at that same exact time. So that's going to lead to an opportunity for some of these drivers to race down there, down in the SRX series. And as far as TV deals go, I'm not sure what's going to happen there. That's an area that I'm not all too familiar with, so I don't have too much of an opinion on there. However, if you can get drivers down there, like we've been talking about a lot, this is going to lead to more opportunities. So whoever grabs onto that SRX deal, I feel like is really going to benefit from that, because now we're going to have an opportunity where you can see some of these drivers come in. As far as other teams coming in, I don't really know about that, because I think it's Tony Stewart and Ray Abraham's thing. And I feel like they've done a really good job. I think the only thing I wish we could see more is maybe 1 or 2 more races and maybe a few more cars out on the racetrack. But I really think we got to take SRX a little bit more seriously, because it is a pretty good opportunity for fans who maybe have not been around watching racing that much can come back in, because, a lot of people will leave a sport if their certain driver is done racing. And now we're getting an opportunity. We're seeing some of those drivers who don't race that much anymore, like Bill Elliott, Elio Castroneves. Well, Elio Castroneves got a full-time opportunity, but Marco Andretti, they stopped racing full-time. If you were fans of them and that was the only reason you watched, then obviously you're not going to tune back in. But now you got SRX coming back, bringing them back. And you even got people like Ryan Newman, Greg Biffle coming back. If you keep getting more of those drivers in, you're going to bring back some of that old fan base. And maybe, just maybe, you'll get an opportunity for them to start watching NASCAR races. If they're like, hey, we're working side by side with NASCAR, we're working side by side with Indy. It could be a great TV rights deal if you can get someone like ESPN coming in and saying, hey, we're doing this with SRX, and we're also doing this with the NASCAR race. They can kind of lead into that. But you definitely need more people talking about it. You need more people coming into the sport and racing in there. And I think you got a great opportunity that can benefit a lot of people, not just one series.
I wonder who was the person that, like you said, Tyler, like you mentioned, like, I wonder who the person was that said, let's line the schedules up with NASCAR tracks. And it starts week 1 at Stafford Speedway in Connecticut. And on that Thursday, about an hour and a half away from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Right after that, they go up to Vermont, about an hour and a half away from New Hampshire Motor Speedway again. So I've already seen it. I've already seen SRX and Stafford Speedway, my local track, tweeting at Kevin Harvick, we're going to see you there. We're going to, you know what I mean? So someone had a good idea, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was someone on ESPN saying, well, have you thought about doing it like this? Because I mean, imagine what the numbers would be if Kevin Harvick, if Joey Logano were racing SRX. Like, I mean, right? I feel like when Chase Elliott ran an SRX race, I feel like the numbers were better. So who knows? Maybe you get a few guys doing double dipping. I don't know, but smart idea. Whoever thought of that. That was, I think that was an interesting move. We'll see if it's checkmate. I don't know, but we'll see.
Let me step away real quick, guys. Hopefully I can stay on. I'm going to try to make a call, see if I can work that out.
All right. But yeah, I know we've seen that before where, I mean, look, the SRX is still, at the end of the day, a relatively young series. So any star power that they can get, of course they're going to take it. Now, here's a little question about SRX that I'm thinking about is that, do they have, I guess, that same mindset maybe of NASCAR where they're trying to get that younger demographic, or is it literally just, oh, we're just here just for shots and goggles?
They definitely, let me get in real quick, Will, and then I'll let you go. They're definitely not going for a younger demographic because all their drivers are over the age of 50.
Well, I think SRX is just putting something different. I think you have guys that don't necessarily like what NASCAR is doing from every angle. And they're like, well, I mean, obviously, Tony Stewart's still heavily involved in NASCAR. I think Ray Abraham still does some stuff behind the scenes in NASCAR. Like, they're just like, we're just put our own. You're talking about two guys who have never had a problem doing it on their own. Ray Abraham used to be a team owner. Tony Stewart's still a part team owner. Like, two renegades of the sports who really don't give a darn about what you think of them. And so they're like, we'll just put on our own product. And at the end of the day, you know, is it to compete with NASCAR? Yes and no. I don't think it really is, because if they really wanted to compete with NASCAR, they'd have a 20 race schedule, and then they go at bigger tracks. They'd be racing at Charlotte, they'd be racing at Bristol or a Martinsville or stuff like that. I think this is just, they want to put a different thing out there for race fans. They know there's race fans out there that want to enjoy asphalt racing, that is sort of a throwback to what it used to be, but they're also a made for TV thing. What's funny is, when people watch SRX and they think they're going against NASCAR, they call NASCAR gimmicky, but SRX literally tells you they are a made-for-TV race. They purposely have cautions. Everything is purposely to fit in the time window. It's just the personalities and seeing old drivers. So Johnny makes a good point. I mean, really, a lot of it is simply the personalities. I mean, what if they could bring like a Jeff Gordon to come race SRX? Now, I think he's not going to do that. I'm sure the opportunity has been handed to him before, and he hasn't done that. But I don't know. I think I've never been concerned about SRX. I've never really thought they were like a true rival. I don't think they work too closely with NASCAR drivers anyways, and personalities. Like, if they were truly a rival, do you think NASCAR is just going to be happy that Chase Elliott goes runs with them? Not much. There's going to be a conversation there. And I'm not saying Chase Elliott really would care, but, NASCAR could make it very tough for drivers to go with the SRX if it was truly they felt like this was a head-to-head, one's trying to be better than the other kind of matchup.
Here's a $1 million idea for SRX and ESPN. Each race, you got 6 races. You bring and here's how you get the younger demographics, Armani. Each SRX race, all 6 of them, you get your commentators you have, whoever that might be. They haven't announced that, but whoever you have, and then you get a random ESPN personality in the booth who probably knows nothing about racing, knows nothing about NASCAR, but just talks and like imagine Stephen A. race 1 at Stafford, just talking about the race, like that.
Here's another TV idea. Now this is a little different. This is more towards the NASCAR side. We were talking about just new ideas for television. I don't watch football outside of the Panthers very rarely until like the playoffs start. But I know on Monday Night Football they have the Manning brothers live react to.
There you go.
So I totally wish that we had. Now, obviously, Cup only runs typically on Sundays, so you couldn't do it every week. But like maybe just the crown jewels, the Daytona 500, the Coke 600, the Southern 500. Maybe pick one more. 4 times a year, you sit and have Jeff Gordon and a guy like a Brett Griffin and a personality. It's like people like this to have personalities, and we watch them watch the race. They've done that before on social media, but like it's on nationally televised broadcast. You're watching these guys talk about it, react to it. They're seeing what they see. Maybe you have an old crew chief like a Chad Knaus or somebody come on, and they're live reacting to pitch strategies and all this kind of stuff. Like that's the kind of stuff we need to do. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, like at ESPN, it's all going to be up to what ESPN wants to invest in it. They could make SRX bad to the bone if they market it to just, this is hard-nosed short track racing. We're racing back at its roots, all this kind of stuff. They can make it whatever they want to be. I'm sure it's going to be successful. I don't know if it's, I think SRX is it has a ceiling just because it's not NASCAR. But I think they can, ESPN, if they take the time with it, I think can definitely maximize what that ceiling is going to be.
Think about it. When I started, you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of the Manning brothers. I think they're funny. I don't think they were very good. But when that first started, like I was watching the Manning cast because it was entertaining. It was different. I think ESPN has a unique opportunity here to bring in random, people that aren't racing fans to watch something fun. And I think that's what, like you said, it's a little gimmicky, SRX, and it should be. It has to be different. But I think they have an opportunity here to kind of build on that, make it gimmicky, make it fun. Stephen A. in the booth on Thursday Night Thunder talking NASCAR as if he knew anything about it. Like that would be
what's going on here?
I'm telling you, these cars are blasphemous.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's a big ass wing.
Like that's what I think something like that is Dan Orlovsky trying to talk NASCAR. I think it would get people's eyes on the thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
NASCAR fantasy on ESPN.
There you go. No, it's stuff like that. We joke, but like they have nothing in the summer. What do you watch ESPN for in the summer?
I don't watch ESPN
watch baseball
anymore.
You watch Monday Night Football or no?
I don't really watch it, but that's what I'm saying. I couldn't tell you, like 10 years ago, you knew it was on ESPN.
Right.
But now the sports climate has changed so much in terms of media. I don't even know what ESPN owns the rights to. Like I don't ever turn on ESPN. Unless maybe I'm waiting for like a college football, maybe like their rankings, maybe that. Other than that, I don't really do anything ESPN wise.
I don't know. My 2 cents, Armani.
What else you got, Armani?
All right, so I saw one thing on Twitter about a couple weeks, actually not even like a couple days ago, where Johnny will like this. It's the odds of who's going to win the championship next year. Now, Chase Elliott was the favorite to win the 2023 championship. So I'll ask you guys this question now. Keep in mind, we got a whole year under the next gen. We got a whole year of notes of the next gen car under our belts. And I did say throughout the entirety of the season that we would have to wait until year 2 to really see what the next gen is going to do. Because year 1, everyone is still trying to figure it out. I'm of the opinion that, I mean, look at 2019 with the 550 package. 2019's 550 package compared to 2020's 550 package looked completely different. We went from having a great Coke 600 consensual, or, by consensus, to a terrible one by consensus. So with a next gen, with keeping that in our mind, we're probably going to see different racing from the next gen car than we did last year. Who do you guys think? I'll ask you guys in a couple questions. Who do you guys think are going to be the championship favorites? And who do you guys think are going to be the championship dark horses?
I guess I'll go. I'm back, by the way.
I saw you sipping your bourbon. I saw that bourbon.
I just gave a call and they said, we're closed. I'm like, oh, cool. I guess you canceled on me. Cool. Anyways, so next year will be a very fun year for sure, because like you said, the first year is just an experimental time. And I think it was a great experiment. Yeah, there were some ups and there was definitely some downs, but overall it was a lot of fun. Now this year is going to be the year where things are going to start popping up like, okay, who's really the best right now with this next gen car? Who's really going to be near the top of most of these races? And you kind of almost got to look at more near the end of the season. I think some of the drivers racing for the championship 4 are definitely going to be likable drivers. I mean, Christopher Bell, I was really impressed by his performance, just seeing how he was able to do at the end of the year. And I think he's going to be a great factor to run for the championship. That's my honest opinion on that. Whether or not we're going to see what happens when Ty Gibbs comes on over to Joe Gibbs Racing, that may play a factor. It might very well. Who knows how much focus Joe Gibbs is actually going to put on Ty Gibbs. Hopefully it's not like a Richard Childress situation from the early 2010s when they put all their focus on Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon, when you lost people like Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, Jeff Burton, just to name a few. So we'll have to see that. But right now, as the way things look, I like Christopher Bell being one of those drivers that's going to really pop up here with this next gen machine. As far as a dark horse goes, we got to really look at road course racers, drivers who really do well at road courses. I think someone had like AJ Allmendinger making a second comeback here in the Cup Series. I think that's really going to benefit Kaulig Racing, because I mean, we just know how talented he is at road courses. We've seen it for the last 3 or so years down the Xfinity series, and we've seen it in the Cup Series. I mean, they're at the Indianapolis road course race where he was able to get that victory in 2021, where he was a front runner in the 2022 race, completely different car. So I think that will be another person who will be a dark horse. One that I'm a little concerned with, but I'll be really excited if Toyota as a whole keeps getting better and better, is going to be Tyler Reddick. I felt like the end of the 2022 season was just a heartbreaker if you were a Tyler Reddick fan, because he straight up looked like one of the best drivers that could run for that championship near the end of the season. Just so much bad luck. So I think overall, drivers who are going to look really good here for the second year that we kind of saw already in 2021. I don't mind Chase Elliott being on that list. I mean, he's super consistent no matter what car you put him in. I'm not upset with that at all. Christopher Bell is going to be a really consistent person here with the next gen machines. As far as dark horses go, I got people like AJ Allmendinger and Tyler Reddick with 2311. I think 2311 is going to impress some people here in 2022.
Well, I will say this. I am sort of insulted by Tyler for not including Paul Menard as a loss at Richard Childress Racing. But anyways.
I'm pretty far deep in the bourbon, my friend. I knew I was forgetting quite a few people. I was like, there was another person.
I mean, Paul Menard was definitely on trajectory to win a championship.
Okay, moving.
Anyways.
Hard for Menard, baby.
I think, yeah, hard for Menard, baby. I think it's an interesting dynamic. I think Armani has been on something for a while. Is you won't really know until this season. My thing is, I felt like even throughout the end of the year, teams still didn't have this car figured out. I mean, we saw 3 of the first 4 playoff races were won by non-playoff drivers. Like, nobody has a handle. Chase Elliott was abysmal in the final 10 weeks of the season. I mean, just did nothing special. Ross Chastain really wasn't special to end off the year. I think the same guys are going to be your favorites. Your Chase Elliott's, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, those same kind of guys. I don't know if Chastain necessarily. I think this year's going to really prove if Chastain's here to stay or if that last year was kind of just a blip on the radar. And we'll find that out about Trackhouse as well. I think a guy to watch for a rebound year is going to be Martin Truex Jr. I think Truex still has a little bit in there. Could potentially be his last season. So I definitely think Truex could be a guy that has a rebound year, could sort of be an underdog in terms of battling for the championship. Ryan Blaney, I've never been sold on as a championship guy, so I didn't really throw him in there. Truex has proven to get it done in the past, but I think we're going to get the same names for the most part. There are a lot of intriguing names. I think there's a lot of middle-of-the-road teams and a lot of middle-of-the-road drivers that we think have potential, but we don't know. What is 2311 going to do? Is Bubba Wallace finally ready to make the step to be a playoff guy? Is Tyler Reddick really going to be this phenom everyone makes him out to be? Is Kyle Busch going to magically find a resurgence with a team that has less success than the one he left? This is all questions that are hopefully be answered here in the next little while. And there's just there's a bunch of middle of the road guys that are going to have a lot, they're going to be answering a lot of questions throughout the season.
Oh, I know Johnny has something to say about one of the drivers he just mentioned. Johnny, let's hear what you have to say.
No, I don't. First of all, if you want to, take a look, watch something about these odds, you can visit Johnny on the Track on YouTube. You can go to @Jot_podcast on Twitter. I did a video, breaking down the odds, breaking down some dark horses. And one of the guys that I thought was a big dark horse, you can get him at 40 to 1 right now. That's plus 4,000 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Chase Briscoe. I think you're shaking your head, but Chase Briscoe, I think, did he make a huge leap last year? No, but he found really consistent results throughout the playoffs. Was so close actually to winning that race at Martinsville to make it to the championship 4, where he had a really fast car in Phoenix. I think he ended that race finishing 3rd place. So he was good there. He was really good throughout the durations of the playoffs. That's where he scored most of his top 10s. And I'll tell you why I'm so high on Chase Briscoe. One, he's a very talented driver. He can do it on road courses. He could do it on dirt, and he could do it on 1.5 miles. But the other thing is, him and his crew chief, Johnny Klossmeyer, are a very interesting duo. It just seemed like throughout the playoffs, that crew chief, Klossmeyer, put him in very, very good spots. They took risks, they took chances, and most of the time it played out. And that was a risk. That was a risk at Martinsville, leaving him out on old tires to try to get the job done. And it almost worked out. It almost paid off. And there was a lot of times throughout the playoffs where where they needed points, and they let Chase Briscoe stay out there, hold down the fort, see if you can't, stay in the top 5, get some stage points. And that carried him through, all the way up to the round of 8, finished 5th overall in the standings. I mean, I am very, very high on Chase Briscoe. And it's not just because of the driver that I think Briscoe is, but it's that team. I think from the pit crew to the spotter to the crew chief, they all believe that Chase Briscoe is a very talented, very solid driver, and they put him in positions where he can succeed. And I think that next year, I think he's going to be the Christopher Bell of next year. I think he's going to get 2, 3, maybe 4 wins and have a breakout season. Yes, I know, but trust me, ladies and gentlemen, he is a guy. He is a dark horse championship contender.
I think my bigger concern isn't him. I like Briscoe. My bigger concern is Stewart Haas.
That's fair, but I mean, again, though, like those results at the end. Think of here's an interesting way to put that. Then think of in that car with really like the speed they had. Think of how far he made it with that. So I mean, maybe they get an edge. Maybe they get that step up and find some speed next year, and then I think you have to really watch out for Chase Briscoe.
Here's my thing about. Go ahead.
I feel really bad that I forgot about Chase Briscoe, but Johnny's right. I like Chase Briscoe a lot with being a dark horse. You know what their strategy almost reminds me of? It almost reminds me of what like Alex Bowman does. Have you ever just noticed where Alex Bowman just comes out of nowhere and can collect a victory here and there? Chase Briscoe almost did that multiple times this year. And that's going to be really fun to see if that's the kind of driver he is. He's obviously a super talented driver. We've seen it in the lower series. We obviously have seen it. And hell, we saw it in the Phoenix race earlier in 2022. But if they're able to find ways where they can make strategies like that and get victories, there's going to be a lot of times where we're going to see them be able to go far in these championship runs. And I like someone like that being a dark horse here in the NASCAR Cup Series.
I think one more thing, Armani, real quick. I think I'll just make it quick. I think it's a passing of the baton too. I think the baton is now passed from Kevin Harvick to Chase Briscoe. I think it's his race team. I think it's his franchise.
Here's why I'm not that sold on Briscoe as a dark horse. Yes, he won at Phoenix, but keep in mind that is really, you got to remember, folks, that's the only reason Briscoe made the playoffs. He finished like 17th, 18th of points. And all those top 10s he got in the playoffs, where was he running before that? He was running like 15th, 20th. It's because he got late breaks with late cautions that he was able to stay out and get those top 10 finishes. You're not going to get that lucky over a 36 race season, let alone 10 races that often. So what if Briscoe doesn't win? Because we don't know what Stuart Haas is going to be next year. What if he doesn't get that one win and he's still floating around 17th, 18th of points? We had 19 winners last year. 40-1 isn't bad, but there's not even a guarantee Briscoe, there's not a guarantee Briscoe makes the playoffs.
Oh, that's a guarantee.
Can you say this? Can you tell me that you would put Briscoe in terms of playoff eligibility it's the same question I said with AJ Allmendinger. Would you put Briscoe as a playoff guarantee? That means you're putting him with the likes of Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson. Would
Ryan
you put
Blaney
as a playoff
Blaney's a
guarantee?
playoff guarantee. He's made
if you're calling Ryan Blaney a playoff guarantee, at this point you have to call Chase Briscoe a playoff guarantee.
Whoa!
Why?
Blaney
finished what, like third or fourth in the regular season points?
He had 7
finished
career
second.
wins.
How many?
He runs for Penske. Penske runs on average like 10 positions better a week.
How many wins did he have? How many?
One less than your boy Briscoe. One less.
Technically, no.
Technically, he did tie, but.
And
okay,
folks,
now,
and remember this: even with all those top 10s Briscoe had at the end of the year, I think his average finish overall was still like below 15th. I think it was still like 16th or 17th.
I can't believe this man just said he would pick Briscoe over Blaney.
I think
Briscoe's making the playoffs.
I think we're asking the wrong question because, to be honest, we can't really say anymore that anyone's a guaranteed playoff driver. Some maybe, yeah. It depends on how many races they're really good at. But you could have, let's say, one driver who just nails New Hampshire every single time, like Christopher Bell. What if Christopher Bell was just horrible every single race, but he always had that New Hampshire race? So it's really hard to kind of really tell which drivers are guaranteed and which drivers are not. It's just honestly just the way this playoff system is, and it's frustrating. I'm not saying it's good. It's frustrating. No one's really a guarantee. Like Martin Truex Jr., the dude was in the top 4 in points, and he did not run for a championship. It was all because these drivers had one really good race. And if Kurt Busch was in, Ryan Blaney would have been eliminated. If Kurt Busch does not have that concussion, Ryan Blaney does not advance into the playoffs. And that's such a frustrating thing to hear. And that's something we just all got to consider is maybe we don't look at who's doing the best at points overall. We just got to see which drivers will do the best at races. So comparing a Chase Briscoe to an AJ Allmendinger just does not work anymore. It really doesn't.
You know who isn't a guarantee to make the playoffs?
Who?
Eric Almirola? Brian Priest?
Will knows.
Who?
Cody Ware.
You know who?
Say it.
William Byron.
Ooh, that's true.
Byron will be in the playoffs. Anyway, here's the real question. Here's the real question we got to get to. Who's going to have the better season this year? Kyle Busch or Tyler Reddick?
Ooh, I like
That's a
that.
question.
We've talked about that for so long, and I still have the same opinion. I think it's going to be close.
I think it's going to be almost identical to each other.
I agree. I think points.
Well, I think when
That's
Kyle
tough.
Busch wins the Daytona 500, that's going to
Okay. Kyle is not winning the 500.
You know what? I wouldn't count him out though, just because of the team he's with and the equipment that they have there. I mean, look, Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon both did really good at those super speedway races. Granted, Tyler Reddick has always been a decent super speedway driver, and I would argue Kyle Busch is a good super speedway driver. There's definitely a few people who do slightly better than him at those types of races, but hey, if you got a team that can figure that area out, I mean, he's probably going to be a contender for sure. Not saying he's going to win the Daytona 500, but he'll be a contender. Be in the 8 car.
I do think that Busch with RCR does have a better shot to win the 500 than Busch with JGR. Because keep this also in mind. You got more Chevrolets and Toyotas.
Mm-hmm.
You got more.
I am not denying that at all. I think that's
now,
it.
As for Will's original question, God, that's tough. I think we talked about this before, like maybe a couple weeks ago. I think I gave the slight edge to Busch just because of experience, just because we know what RCR is, but we don't know what 23. We still don't have an idea on what 2311 is. Like, remember, RCR won 4 races last year.
Damn. That's
I mean, I mean, right off the bat, like, I think Tyler Reddick's going to win Homestead. That's towards the end of the season, though. I think Tyler Reddick's going to win a road course. I think that's 2 wins. I don't know how much more he's going to get, but I think he definitely will win 2 races this season. Well, you know what? I kind of take back the road course thing because Toyota was.
That's what I was about to say.
Bell won at the road course. Bell won.
That was a strategy that worked really well in his favor. That the planets aligned for that one.
That was an Alex Bowman.
Yeah,
that exactly was an Alex Bowman.
He backed into one.
Yeah, he backed into one. And I love Bell. You guys know I love Bell, but
I think Reddick and Busch are going to be the 2 most I'm not going to say overhyped because I think they both have potential to win multiple races. But I think they're going to be the 2 drivers that everyone has to just be careful about when they like make predictions for this year. I think everyone has these wild expectations for both of them, but nobody wants to think about the realistic of who they race for. RCR is not Joe Gibbs Racing, and 2311 is still a few steps behind some bigger organizations. I think 2311 is great, but they also won on the same racetrack last year. Like outside of Kansas, they haven't really been in a major position. Now, Bubba Wallace had some strong runs at some point in the year, but then that also faded away towards the end of the season. Who knows what would happen with Kurt? I mean, Kurt was really feeling like he was kind of coming into his own at 2311 before, obviously now the concussion that now pretty much took him out of the car permanently. But I think people just got to watch out for these 2 drivers. I think everybody wants to pick these guys and make them favorites all of a sudden, but people got to be real about these guys. I think they're going to have a similar year. I was writing down stat lines earlier. I had both of them winning a race. I had both of them having it for like 7 or 8 top 5s and having about 18 or 19 top 10s. Both of them in the playoffs, obviously. One of them will probably make it to the final 8 at least, or at least kind of make their way through. But I just don't think one's going to blow the other one out of the water.
A question to ask you guys. I have to ask this question. As far as another dark horse goes, how do you feel about people in RFK racing like a Brad Keselowski or Chris Buescher or someone from Colleague? We talked about AJ Allmendinger, but what about Justin Haley? Do you think now that these teams have gotten more experience with each other, they're now both starting to really, there's a chemistry starting to get built up there. Do you think any of these drivers will be contenders when it comes to making it into the playoffs?
Buescher, I could see. Keselowski, I cannot.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Brad in that 6 car has shown me. You got to show me something. You have to show me something that I can latch on to that can say, you know what, I can see you making it.
I have the tendency to think, though, that I think the 6 team, like, let's say there's an experimental car, it's the 6 car. I think Brad being the owner, there's no pressure there. He's going to be there for however long he wants to be there. Eventually, the Brad's going to win a race in the 6 car. I think right now, I think that car is more of figuring other things out. That's why they're always the one that's like, who's the one who always gets penalized when one of the cars gets penalized? It's the 6 car. Chris Buescher, I think, is going to be a playoff bubble guy. I'm not sure he'll make it. I hope he does. I think he's going to have just the same chance as a lot of other people. Brad's going to have to step up, but he really doesn't. I mean, Brad's going to be the sixth car until he doesn't want to drive anymore. I think the one you really have to watch, Tyler mentioned him earlier, I think Allmendinger, if he wins the road course race, he's in the playoffs. I mean, I think Allmendinger's the one to watch. I don't know if Colleague's quite ready to make the jump into like competing for multiple races and multiple cars in the playoffs and the championship, but why the hell couldn't they be there? I think Allmendinger's has a better shot than Haley. Justin Haley's also like the most spin the wheel and eventually I win a race driver there is in the series. So, we'll see if that pans out too. Johnny's got something on his chest here, boys.
Let's go.
What the heck? There's been a lot of absolute nonsense that comes out of my mouth.
Oh, here we go. Johnny's going to say, let's build the right side of
Tyler
history,
had the
folks.
audacity to say that Justin Haley is a dark horse championship contender.
Didn't you pick him to win the 500?
No, making it into the playoffs
this year?
You said dark horse championship.
Tyler's just drinking out of the bottle at this point.
Straight drinking out of the bottle. We're looking for dark horses. Did you see how well he did at Las Vegas? The team was not the same level as Trackhouse Racing, obviously, but I'm seeing those teams make improvements. I'm not saying that Justin Haley's going to be a championship contender, like running for the championship, but I'd say he's going to be a dark horse to get a win potentially here or there, or making it into
it is
the
very
playoffs.
Realistic. And Johnny mentioned it, I think, a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's very realistic. I mean, there's 25 to 28 cars that could make the playoffs this year. I mean, you have a guy like, I'm going to now have two Cup drivers, Chase Elliott and Noah Gragson. I've been following Noah the last 3-4 years. I mean, I don't think Noah's going to do anything really special at Petty GMS, but Noah Gragson could go out and win the 500. Noah Gragson can go play strategy and he's good enough to hold position. I mean, that's the weird part is this past year proved it. I mean, I was wrong. I said it all year. There is no way we're getting 16 winners. It's not happening. Eventually someone's going to figure it out. That definitely got happened. What did we end up with, like 17 or 18?
19.
Well, we had
19.
16 to end the season, and there were only two people that predicted that. One was me, and the other was Armani.
Well, Armani every now and then gets one right. But, that's the crazy part. But, Justin Haley's definitely a guy that could go out and he could go win Daytona or Talladega. 100%. You have to respect it. That's the problem is right now you got 26, 27 cars that you have to say, well, hell, if everything lines up. Eric Jones won at freaking Darlington last year in a Petty GMS car.
He did.
Yeah, Eric Almirola one year won playoff Talladega, finished 5th in the overall standings.
Yeah.
Oh, God, here.
No, but what I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying. Like, there's so much unpredictability now. Even then, I'm sitting here and I'm like, crap, I forgot about Petty GMS Racing. They got Eric Jones. They got Noah Gragson.
There's one thing you can guarantee is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Chase Elliott will be in the playoffs and make the Final Four, and he will not win the championship. All right? Also, the other second thing that is guaranteed is Denny Hamlin will not win the championship.
Well,
the third thing that's guaranteed, Almirola will not make the playoffs.
Almirola very well could make the playoffs. He's made it like every year.
But last year.
Right, last
I
year.
can't get over Johnny thinking that Ryan Blaney and who was it are on the same playing field.
Chase
Briscoe. They're the same. They might as well be the same guy.
Wow.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Again, Ryan Blaney he got into the playoffs by default. What a loser.
Chase Briscoe gets lucky in the spring, does nothing the entire summer, is 19th in points, but because he won a race.
That's right.
Because he did what Derek Cope did one time. He's in the playoffs, baby.
I can't wait to see someone like a Corey LaJoy get a victory at Atlanta Motor Speedway and just throw everything just out the window. That's it.
Remember, he has to. I don't think he could ever make the playoffs because he has to finish top 30 in points.
He could finish 30th in points. If he wins a race, you got to think if Atlanta, he finishes second, I think he had like a 25 extra points, which would have put him like 30th in points. He just wrecked.
Yes. It's just crazy. It's that's all I gotta say. It's just crazy. Like, we just do not know at all. Yeah. And that's what I like about being a NASCAR fan right now. It's just the unpredictability.
Don't know what's gonna happen. I'll ask you guys one more thing, then we'll wrap it up. Name me one big name driver that y'all see missing the playoffs.
Of course. See, I hate playoff predictions.
I'm giving you one driver
I'm gonna say the 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson does not make it into the playoffs. There you go. I did the
Ooh,
cop
very
out.
well done. That's a fact.
That is a bold prediction, my friend.
Get out.
I'm gonna say.
I'll drink to that, my friend.
It's tough for me, but I think I have to say where.
All right.
No,
I don't think. I truly don't think this year I don't know if there's gonna be like a big name, but I mean, I think this is the kind of year where like Austin Dillon probably doesn't make the playoffs.
Oh, come on.
He tends to
What
be.
kind of
Well,
dumb
you said
take is
Cody
that?
Ware. You
I
picked
know,
the guy
but then
who
I was
won
gonna
Yeah.
give you a
second.
real one.
Okay, real names.
Okay.
Ross Chastain.
Holy hell! Damn.
Ooh. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't have one. I mean, it could be like a Byron or a Bowman, but
It won't be
it's just
Byron.
like I
Yeah,
don't.
you know
I can't
what? Let me
depend on
take
them to
that back.
win.
Look, I'm taking that back. I'm saying Byron. I like
Oh,
that.
you bastards.
I kind of like. I'll go with the William Byron pick.
I
but you know
kind of
how
like that
Byron is.
too.
Hold on.
I like that
first
too.
six
Drink,
weeks of the-
Tyler. Drink.
Hold on. The first 6 weeks of the season, he'll look like William Byron in the Xfinity Series, and then he'll just the last 30 weeks, he's just like, who the hell is in the 24 car?
I like that. I think that's a good one. I say Chastain.
Here's another thing. This is an even better, and then I know we actually have to. Everybody has a life to get off of here, but guys that are going to be on the hot seat. I mean, I think guys like Byron and Alex Bowman have got to do something this year. I don't think the 48 car's contract's not signed yet for past 2023 anyways.
The interesting thing, I definitely could see. I mean, with the injury, like maybe it takes Bowman a little bit to get back in stride. Maybe he's not in stride until halfway into the season. And then at that point, like, is it too late for him to make the playoffs? I think that's a fair bet to go with,
Right.
that someone like Bowman doesn't make it. I said Chastain, but I actually don't think it's all that far-fetched, to be honest with you.
It's not.
Again, like, was it just a fluke year? Maybe. I mean, like, did Daniel Suarez run that well all season?
Nope.
Not really, but he got a win. So, if you just take away, Ross Chastain won 2 races. One, he wrecked the guy leading out of the way to win the race. And then the second, Eric Jones just made the stupidest decision you'll ever see in a race car. and Ross Chastain was able to pass him, on the last lap. So,
hey, maybe Kyle Busch misses the playoffs.
No.
I don't think he does. I'm not putting that out there as a prediction, but I mean, his only win was because the top 2 wrecked each other.
That is true. You know what? I am going to give a real prediction here, and this one will be a spicy one. I think I'm looking at last year. Who were the drivers who struggled the most? The drivers who did not know what their future was going to be after 2023. I'm saying the driver who misses it is a past champion. I'm going with Kevin Harvick.
I think I know where this is going.
Kevin Harvick in the number 4. Because think about it. Here with Stewart Haas Racing, they're struggling. They're really struggling. And thank God Kevin Harvick got those 2 victories in August. Now, granted, that's definitely going to be the thing. If he can get a victory, then I'm going to look like a fool. But the thing is, we've just seen so much struggles with people with so much uncertainty. Eric Almirola, he didn't make it. Martin Truex Jr., he didn't make it. He was able to sign on. Kyle Busch, he had that random lucky moment. The gates opened for him. And right now, who's in the hot seat right now? Who doesn't know what's going to happen next year? It's Kevin Harvick. I would like to see him go out on top, kind of like how you saw with like Jeff Gordon. But the thing is, it's been a struggle the last couple of years, and it really should not be a team that should be struggling at all. So if you see someone like Kevin Harvick miss it, it's going to be shocking. But I also at the same time would not be surprised. It's crazy to think that
until he won with 2 or 3 weeks left. I mean, it was all very much on the table that Harvick was going to miss.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the man we have to ask. The one who makes a boneheaded prediction every year, and that's going to be Armani. So, Armani, Go ahead. Is it going to be Chase Elliott or Kyle Larson or Denny Hamlin?
Here is my big name driver, and who knows if you could count him as really a big name driver.
Oh, we
know. Okay, so he's wussing out.
Prediction.
He's wussing out.
But I've heard way too much hype from this guy, and just the trends that we've seen for years and years on end. Ty Gibbs misses the playoffs.
Oh,
okay.
what a
Okay.
joke.
All right.
I'm
He
leaving.
picks a damn rookie. Oh, my.
You
I'm
said
logging
he was
off.
the best prospect in NASCAR history.
He is. That doesn't mean he's going to make the playoffs.
So the best prospect in the 75 years cannot be one of the top 16.
This
He
guy.
could. I'm not going to be surprised if he does make the playoffs. I'm just not
Who's
calling
taking
right now
over
that
the
he is.
18 car, the
I
flagship.
personally, now I could be way wrong. I think Ty Gibbs somehow finds a way to win a race next year. So I will probably have him in the playoffs, but I don't feel like confident, a lock. It's
Now,
a must.
if you had to ask
pick.
me, a true, like, established driver, I think Truex misses again.
Oh man, that'd be heartbreaking.
Because
that was
think about
better.
it. Because here's the thing.
Real.
Throughout the entirety of the year, Blaney showed he had some speed. Some winless drivers showed they've had some speed. Truex, besides maybe one or two races, showed nothing.
I don't know about
You
that.
got to
He
show
was
me
third in
some.
point.
You got to show. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, we got to remember consistency at this point. We got to assume that doesn't matter. You have to win.
He should have won New Hampshire. He should have won. His engine blew up at
Woulda,
Darlington.
coulda,
He would have won.
shoulda.
Ugh.
Even
think he-
Blaney was more consistent than Truex, and Blaney's main knock throughout the entirety of his career is that he's inconsistent.
Yeah.
I mean, you knocked Truex's speed, but the dude won a pole for the first time ever at Joe Gibbs Racing.
Oh my God,
definitely
he
had
won
some
a pole. How good did that do for Ryan Newman?
That's fair, but I mean,
Hey, even strippers got poles.
That's factual.
What about one last thing? I know we were talking about contracts ending in 2023. Denny Hamlin is on the line. Is anyone worried about him missing it at all?
I'm not
No.
going to be mad online with him missing, but it looks more and more like FedEx is not coming back. That is going to be a story before the end of the year.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, that would stink. That would stink horribly for Joe Gibbs Racing. Losing both M&Ms and then FedEx right on after. Longtime sponsors. That'd be brutal.
nice PJs, Hamlin.
Chase. Nice Domino's reference. I appreciate that.
Maybe
Oh,
they
yeah,
come
it's
in.
a
I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll see.
All right, let's wrap it up here. We've been on here for over an hour at this point.
It's
Well,
been a
so
great
much-
hour.
I know some of us want to watch the football game, so thank y'all for joining on this Christmas edition of the Motorsport Ministry. We'll be gone for about another month and a half. I'll do an episode or two, once we get the new year going, but we're really going to start kicking things in once the season begins. Obviously, might do something for the Rolex. Definitely will be doing something for the Daytona 500. I might be attending, so I might unfortunately get to finally meet Johnny in person.
Yeah,
Will too, hopefully.
And I'll be
I
at
doubt it,
home.
but we'll see.
Tyler,
hey,
come to the 500.
Hey man, it's not that easy for me, man. I'm on the other side of the country.
I try to remind him that every time Armany's like, we all need to meet at Talladega. I said, that's probably fine for me and you, but everybody else is a way far away.
Oh yeah.
We seriously need to find just one race this year where we can all meet together.
Yeah. I'm not going all that way to watch Kansas.
Fair enough. But
Can
mile and a halves
negotiate.
have been fun. They have been fun to watch this
Kansas
year.
has had some good races.
Armani, here's my goal for you. The other day on the phone on the way to work, I told you the 6 reasons the Colts are the worst ran franchise in the NFL right now.
Oh my
Christ.
God.
Please, let's not add a 7th in the final 2-3 weeks of the season.
Probably will out of 7. Hey, 7 championships. 7 for Dale.
Okay, all right.
All right, we're gonna wrap things up here before I'm forced to take another shot of Fireball or two. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'll let y'all throw in your social medias where we can find you guys. We'll start off with Tyler. We'll go to Will, and then we'll go to Johnny.
Yeah, so definitely the one that's getting a lot of gains has been my YouTube channel at Vanillawafers. I'm going to be trying to release a video before New Year's. It's going to be talking about the greatest finishes in NASCAR history. Going to be bringing up a lot of races, maybe up to 50 races for you guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun to be able to make that story for you guys. And if you want to see me lose my freaking mind, you can also check me out on TikTok at Vanillawafers44.
Listen. This is what the people want. They want to see you suffer.
Listen, all you people listen to this. My favorite thing. I didn't even realize this was Tyler. We were sitting at work one day, and I have a moron friend of mine who just does random things. This is not Armani, even though the moron friend thing still applies. He started playing this NASCAR TikToker, and he starts playing, and we're gonna play Guess That Driver. All of a sudden, Tyler's voice comes out of his phone. The Guess the Driver TikToks are awesome. I think I've only missed 2 out of like the 25 we have done. Johnny and Armani need to go play those. Those are badass. So Tyler, keep doing those. Those are
my
awesome.
favorite are the card videos, just to watch Tyler's sanity slowly chip away.
I'm going to look up Tyler right after this because I don't think I follow him on TikTok for whatever reason. So be looking for it.
I greatly appreciate you guys watching that stuff. I really do.
Am I next?
Yeah, you're next.
I'm sorry. At NASCAR_opinion. I don't really use that as like a thing anymore. I mean, I use it, but I mean, it's not to like get traction towards anything. So, if you're thinking about picking one, you can pick Tyler. You don't want to follow Johnny. Johnny is just is rough.
Come on,
really.
man.
But no, I do some social media work for some dirt tracks, sprint car series, Cherokee Speedway, South Carolina, Livonia Speedway in Livonia, Georgia, and the Carolina Sprint Tour. So anytime you see their names on something, for the most part, it's probably me doing it. So make sure you just go follow them. That always helps me out.
At JOTT, that's at Jot_podcast on Twitter for my tweets, my great takes, my bets. You'll be rich. So good for you. If you get, you give me that follow. And then Johnny on the Track on YouTube. We're at right now, we're doing about I like to do about a video per week. Random stuff, neat ideas. So that's what the boys are here to help me out with. So give me the follow. Appreciate it. We'll be getting the betting videos back starting mid-January. They will have odds for the Busch Clash. So we'll have that first video for the betting year of 2023. And Johnny, I'll be at the Daytona 500.
How many drivers does Johnny bet on?
For the Clash.
For the Clash, I don't know. I didn't do that last year. So
well, that's what I was going to ask. Johnny, we do give you a lot of grief on your bets, but you are able to turn a profit almost every single race, correct?
Yeah, I was plus 89 units this year.
Look at that. There's many reasons why you should listen to him. Yes, we'll give him grief, but there's something that he's doing correctly, and that's something that us three are not doing, but he's doing it. So many more reasons to check him out.
12 drivers every week. I got
hey, plus 89 units is plus 89 units. If that's a hunt for those wondering, if you bet $100 each race, you would have been up 8.9 thousand. 8,900.
Hey, if you go to a roulette table. If you go to a roulette table and you throw a bunch of chips down on a bunch of numbers, people may make fun of you, but once it hits that number, man, they're not making fun of you much longer.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's all. Good. All right. Good stuff, boys, for this little Christmas episode of the Motorsport Ministry, even though I'm a Jew, so I really shouldn't be doing a Christmas episode thinking about it. But anyways, too late now. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this special edition of the Motorsport Ministry. We're going to take another little hiatus. We'll be back around around the beginning of January. And then we'll be back to things going for the season. We'll have stuff for the Clash, obviously F1 launches, all that stuff. We'll be here for it. If you guys want to listen to all previous episodes of the Motorsport Ministry, you can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and Amazon Music. I'm glad I remember how to say that after like nearly a month without saying it. You can find all of our episodes on all those major platforms. And again, the new edition, we will be on YouTube. I will have those links as well, including the link to this episode. The Motorsport Ministry is on YouTube. It only took me, like a year and a half of doing this to finally get on YouTube. But we're here. We're going to have some great things for this year. Once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.